What's up guys, welcome back to FullThrottleRC. Today we got the MST RMX 2.0 on the workbench. If you remember in the last video I made on this car, I slammed it into the curb and we broke an outdrive cup in the rear here. And it's time to fix it. It took me a little while to find parts. Parts for these cars are kind of hard to find right now. I did some research on just replacing it as well as upgrading it. And I'm not 100% sure if this is gonna work, but I found this set here. It's a rear ball diff with aluminum outdrives. It's a complete ball diff. I'm pretty sure this car has a spool in it right now, but I'm gonna put the ball diff in it and see how that works out. Hopefully I can actually get it in the car. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if this even works with this car, but from the research I did, it should work. I believe this was specifically made for the RMX 2.0 S, and this is a 2.0 RTR, so not exactly the same, but I believe it should work. So I'm gonna try to get it in there and see how it works. To get to that, we got to get this transmission out first. So we got a couple of screws on the bottom here, and I believe we got to take out the screws from this center brace here, and it should come right out. So let me get on to that and then we'll get into it. Alright, with the transmission out now, we have two more screws here on this side and two more on this side, and this side plate here should come off so we can get inside to the diff. Alright, so I'm sure you saw I had to take the spur gear off there as well to get this whole side piece off. One thing to watch out for is this small little piece here with the two bevel gears on it. You saw that kind of floated around inside the transmission for me. We're actually going to take that out, but it's important to notice which way it goes in. Now we can take this whole spool out. You can see where it shattered the drive cup here. This looks like a one-piece unit plastic gear, and it just straight up shattered the drive cup. So I'm going to replace that with the ball diff with the aluminum drive cups now. Alright, so I got all the parts laid out here, and I've been going over the directions a little bit to see how to put this thing together. I want to point out a couple of things I noticed. The first thing I want to point out is this pinion gear that came in the kit. It's a 13 tooth pinion. I'm not sure how many teeth the factory pinion is that came in the car, but I tried taking it off and it was a little bit of a pain. The other thing I wanted to point out was the thrust bearing that you see in the instructions. I saw it in the instructions and kind of started freaking out a little bit because I couldn't find the thrust bearing in my kit. Thought it might have been left out. Then I noticed these really tiny ball bearings and was trying to figure out what they were for, and realized you have to actually build the thrust bearing. So I'm not sure if you can see in the instructions here, but it's these two washers with all of the ball bearings. So this is my first time building a ball diff, so bear with me. I'm gonna go through and put this thing together and come back to you and we'll get it installed in the car. All right, finally all together. Sure, you saw me struggling a little bit. The thrust bearing was definitely the first time I've built something like that before, so it took me a little while to get used to, but I got it in there. I did have to take the whole thing apart and put it back together twice. Once because I didn't have enough grease on the balls. The second time was just because I didn't like the alignment of it. I like the shaft slots to be parallel to each other. I know if the diff actually works like it's supposed to, they won't always be like that, but just for installing it, I wanted it to look good. Now we'll get it in the car, so slides right in the housing, and we'll put the pinion back in. All right, let's try this again for a fourth time. This was the gear that came in the kit that I put on. When I tried putting the pinion gears back in, they wouldn't seat all the way to the bottom. The gear was hitting it and raising it up. So I went ahead to try to put the pinion gear, the new pinion gear, onto the block, and it wouldn't fit. So I went ahead and took apart the old diff, which was actually a locker, took the bevel gear off of it, installed it on here, and reinstalled the pinion gear, and now we can finally put it back together. The good news about this is it'll have the original gear ratio. Everything will be the same, except we'll have a ball diff and upgraded aluminum outdrives. All right, now we got it all back together. We got one more thing to do to get it back in the car. The kit comes with these little shaft protectors, is what they call them. Basically what they do is, see if I can get this on camera for you. You're supposed to snap onto the ends of the dog bones like this. Then once they're on there, they'll slide into the outdrives just like this. And yeah, so I'll get the other one on and we'll get the transmission back in the car. Alright, so we got it all back together now. It was a little tougher than I expected, but it's my first time dealing with something like this on a drift car. First time dealing with a ball diff, so hopefully you learned along with me. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but when I was putting it back together, a really good tip to make things easier if you're doing something like this is to pop these upper links and the bottom of the shocks out of the balls, and you can remove this whole shock tower and get it out the way and slide it in there. It works a whole lot better. So now all there's left to do is go out there and test it out and see how she performs now. I do have a couple of more videos coming up soon on this car. Have a few projects in line. I felt like it was about time for a new body on this thing, change up the look a little bit, and y'all know how much I like painting bodies, so went with something kind of different. I picked up a C7 Corvette touring car body, but not gonna leave it simple as that. Picked up this SRC fender flare kit. It's basically a wide body kit, and pretty sure these are the front. I'll figure out how to get these mounted somehow and get them on the car. And I don't know, I just picked them up. I think it'll add a cool little look to the car. I'll try to get them fit up on there, make it look kind of nice. Obviously, putting fender flares on the car, I kind of want the wheels to still be flush, so picked up a new set of wheels as well. So all of that will be coming in future videos. I'll probably end up going test this out before I install all of that stuff and scratch it all up though. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Hope you got something out of this video. Maybe some of you are dealing with the same thing. We're looking for parts and we're curious if this ball diff would fit in this car. If you aren't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click on that bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. And as always, thanks again for watching. Peace.